going on, everybody? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chad Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, Kevin O'Connell. We're going to talk about his 2 weak spots in terms of him being an offensive play caller, the quick passing game, and the run game, and we do have some concerning stats on those. And then also, with the Vikings being one of the most injured teams in the National Football League so far, we do have some major injury updates on a lot of the key guys on the roster. But obviously, the start of the season has not gone the way we all expected. And I want to get you guys' thoughts on this. If you had to make one major change to the Vikings, what would it be? You guys let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know what is one major change that the Vikings need to make. Let me know your thoughts down below. All right, let's talk about Kevin O'Connell here. As you know, I still believe he is one of the best head coaches and one of the best offensive minds in the National Football League. However, there are some concerning trends and stats in terms of just him being a play caller. And it's twofold. Number one, being the quick pass concepts. They have just been non-existent, and the Vikings have just ran these at an all-time low rate compared to other teams in the NFL. And then also, the dominant run game. Where is it? We have been talking about it all offseason. You want to be a more physical, downhill football team? Well, now you finally have the personnel to do so, and we really haven't seen it so far. And what's so concerning, quickly here, starting off with the quick game concepts, the Vikings have only ran 3 quick game concepts in the passing game this season. Now you may be asking yourself, well, what exactly is quick game? So they categorize it as concepts with pass routes that break coming under 7 yards across the board. So all wide receivers, all routes are all under 7 yards. And the fact that he has only ran those types of plays 3 times this season with a young quarterback, with shaky offensive line play, I mean, that's kind of a joke. And you know, what was so concerning about the Falcons game this past Sunday night is that it reminded me of the Rams playoff game last year, where clearly the offensive line was getting beat heavily up front, and Kevin O'Connell did not adjust. You know, Sam Darnold, he had the yips, he was jittery in the pocket, and KOC could not settle him down because he kept trying to push the ball down the field. Sometimes you just need to take the layups. And also this, with a QB making his first 2 ever career starts in the NFL, plus horrible offensive line play, it honestly doesn't make sense to me that he hasn't gone to the quick game more. Because even KOC, like he's been around a lot of offensive head coaches, you know, in the past who have ran quick game at a very high level. But you have a young quarterback making his first 2 ever career starts, also on a primetime stage, so the jitterbug is going to be going with J.J. McCarthy. And the bad offensive line play, it just doesn't make too much sense. And also, offensive line has been getting their ass handed to them. They have the 5th highest pressure rate over the first 2 weeks of the season. And on Sunday Night Football, the whole world are watching, J.J. McCarthy was pressured on 53.3% of his snaps. And with all that, you couldn't adjust and you couldn't go to a quick passing games concept. That's why this is so concerning. But also, Alec Lewis had this, saying perhaps the most telling is that the Vikings ranked 32nd in quick game attempts per game since the beginning of 2023, 2.7. And they are first in deep drop plays per game, running them at 30.7 times per game. So the question becomes, when will we see Kevin O'Connell adjust? You know, when will that finally happen? Because, listen, he is great at these deep, long developing pass plays. He is clearly a very, very intelligent mind when it comes to that. But I've made this comparison. KOC reminds me of a pitcher in baseball who's just got 2 good pitches. He's got that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He's got a nasty slider. But where is that 3rd and 4th gear he can go to? We have not seen it yet. But offensive coordinator Wes Phillips, he was asked about it today. And this is what he said. This is what he had to say. It doesn't mean you don't like quick game, but the throws, the footwork, and timing are essential. Being able to take the right footwork, see the defense quickly, and start your arm almost before you see a lot of these concepts is key. So a lot of coach talk right there. But also this, young quarterback, making his first 2 starts, bad offensive line play, and plus you still got great weapons on the outside. So don't overcomplicate this. Get the ball to your best players. Like Justin Jefferson, I'm sure he would dominate 5-yard routes. Like this guy's one of the best route runners, one of the best release guys we have ever seen in NFL history. Use him like that. Maybe use him more of like how the Lions use Amon-Ra, or just use Jefferson like how most teams use a tight end. Like he needs to get the football a whole lot more. He only has 13 targets throughout the first 2 weeks which is an absolute crime. He is too good of a football player. Like we saw the Falcons. Obviously, it's easier to get the running back the ball in their hands a lot more, but we saw them use Bijan Robinson. Why couldn't Kevin O'Connell do the same thing with Justin Jefferson when you have these all-time great weapons offensively? But let's talk about the run game here because, it's twofold with KOC. Can't adjust, can't throw too much quick game, and he also still can't really run the football. Now, this whole offseason, I was saying he doesn't really have the personnel excuse anymore with improved offensive line, with adding Jordan Mason. Now, I will give him kind of the benefit of the doubt. It's not like the Vikings' interior offensive line has been good by any means. Like, Donovan Jackson looked really good week 1, looked pretty bad week 2. Then you're on the Michael Juergens for most of that second half of the Falcons game. And then, Will Fry's not looking too good so far. But also, this is just concerning to look at. Like, under Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings have only been a top 20 rushing team one time, and that was last season, but they're still 19th in the league. They've only averaged more than 100 rushing yards per game one time over Kevin O'Connell. That is incredibly concerning. And I'll also say this. If that guy, Jordan Mason, doesn't get 20 carries this upcoming weekend, I will be absolutely furious. You have a backup quarterback. You're in a big-time spot in almost a must-win game against the Cincinnati Bengals. And with the injuries, to Aaron Jones, you still are without Jordan Addison. There is no excuse not to get 27 the football at least 20 times in the run game this upcoming weekend. Even if the Bengals are somehow able to stop it early, you got to stick with it because that's also with Kevin O'Connell. If he sees the run game just not working even a tad, he'll just completely go away from it and he'll go back to what he knows. Very, very concerning stuff there for KOC. But if you guys could, hit that subscribe button before we dive into the rest of today's show. Our Bengals Breakdown channel actually challenged us to a subscriber battle. So if you guys could help us beat them, hit that subscribe button today. See if we can beat Bengals Breakdown in the most subs game this week. So if you guys haven't already, subscribe today. All right, let's talk about the Vikings, the latest injury news here in a second. A lot of big-time names. The injury bug has ran rampant in this locker room. So we'll talk about that here in a second. But before we do so, today's episode of Vikings Now is brought to you by Prize Picks. And you and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. So don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. And if you guys also download that, plug in that promo code CLNS, we'll hook you guys up with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Super simple to play. All you got to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you guys get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks is also the best way to get action on sports in more than 40-plus states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. They also put their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. They offer Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. And they also have a max discount for Week 3, where one Patrick Mahomes passing yard will get you 1 win on Prize Picks. So make sure you guys include this in all of your lineups this upcoming weekend. And at the end of the day, just download Prize Picks and plug in that promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. A massive shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, here's the Vikings injury report today. A bunch of names on here and a bunch of well-known names. Christian Darrisaw did participate in full. Fantastic stuff. Jonathan Grenard limited. Donovan Jackson limited as well. Then you also had Theo Jackson on the injury report. Ryan Kelly did not participate. Austin Keys limited. Obviously, J.J. McCarthy out there. Jeff Okudah did participate in full. Same with Andrew Van Ginkel was limited. Harrison Smith limited, and Justin Skule did not participate. But this is what Kevin O'Connell had to say about J.J. McCarthy. He's actually in a boot, which is a little concerning, but he also mentioned McCarthy is in meetings and such. He's still in the early stages of it, and he said what the team hoped recovery-wise early on has happened. So, with the Vikings not putting him on short-term IR, I'm assuming they're aiming for Week 5 against the Cleveland Browns. I would guess JJ would still travel with the team across the pond if this injury is not, too serious, because obviously you don't want that thing swollen up on a long flight. But I think this is good news for him potentially returning before that Week 6 bye. But is this also a fake boot? Because everybody was telling me this is a shadow benching. JJ's not actually hurt. So maybe Kevin O'Connell and the training staff told JJ to put on a fake boot. Obviously, I'm joking there. But that whole take about this being a shadow benching just drove me absolutely crazy. But here's more on Christian Darrisaw. He will get a full day of practice on Wednesday. And Kevin O'Connell said, we will see where he's at. Now, with this whole Christian Darrisaw saga, listen, it would be incredible still if he was able to return this week because he tore his ACL and MCL week 8 of last season. But I'm at the point with CD, I probably won't believe he is coming back until we see him out there on game day. Even if the Vikings say he is active, I'm probably not going to believe he is truly out there until we see him actually out there on the football field, week 3 against the Bengals. But hopefully he is. He's obviously such a key piece of this offensive line, one of the best left tackles in the league. So, hoping the best for Christian Darrisaw. He's done a great job rehabbing from this injury, and hopefully we finally get him back out there within, hopefully the next couple of weeks, if not this Sunday. But this is what Kevin O'Connell had to say about Jordan Mason. This was, pretty cool. He said, "I'm not sure we could have much more confidence in Jordan Mason as a bell cow kind of back." He said that in the wake of Aaron Jones going on IR. And, I'll tell you what, KOC, how about you have some confidence in him at the goal line? Because still the play that drove me absolutely mad from the Sunday Night Football game was on J.J. McCarthy. It was a 3rd and 18, over to strike the Thielen, following play, over to strike the Jalen Naylor, probably 2 of his best throws so far in the NFL. Then he got the ball 1st and goal on the 2-yard line with that physical running back in Jordan Mason. You try to get cute, try to throw some fake pitch play action, just hand him the football. If it's 1st and goal from the 2 again, you turn around, hand him the football 4 straight times, and just live with what happens. So I do expect Jordan Mason to have a massive game this Sunday. Fantasy football owners, I would recommend starting him against the Bengals this week. But he also made a comment about Harrison Smith. Kind of the same on Christian Darrisaw here. He said he could possibly make his debut Sunday versus the Bengals. So again, I'm just treating this like Christian Darrisaw. I'm not going to believe that Harrison Smith is actually back until we see him out there on the football field. But we also got some more good news here on Andrew Van Ginkel. He was back on practice on Wednesday. He was wearing a no-contact jersey, but I fully expect him to be out there against the Cincinnati Bengals. And then you start looking defensively. You're like, all right, we're getting Okudah back. We're getting Van Ginkel back. Blake Cashman is just a couple games away from returning. Like this defense, even though Vikings fans are telling me the season is over, it's all done. We can already start doing mock drafts here on the channel over the next couple of weeks. Everybody be patient. This defense is getting healthy, and then we're just still also a couple of weeks away from this offense, getting fully healthy and hopefully playing some better football than they did during the first 2 weeks. But these two weren't at practice. Justin School, Ryan Kelly, obviously, I hope School is okay dealing with that concussion, but I could also care less if he's out there this Sunday. He has been so bad at the left tackle spot. So if it's not Christian Darrisaw, assuming it's going to be Walter Rouse. And then Ryan Kelly, I would be stunned if he plays this upcoming week. He's got a lengthy history with concussions. So I'm assuming we'll be on our 3rd-string left tackle, a backup center against the Bengals, backup running back technically, no Addison, no J.J. McCarthy. This offense, this is going to be a big-time stretch for Kevin O'Connell. But that's about it for the injury front on today's show. So if you guys want the Vikings to stay healthy, just hit me with a SKOL down below in the comment section. And also hit that subscribe button on your way out. We'll see you guys next time. As always, SKOL Vikes.